First story. 3 weeks post D-Day. Choosing to try to stay together. I'm keeping this abbreviated. Ish 35 meters caught my wife 40th of 7 years, together 14 having an affair. I confronted her based off texts found on her phone. She cried, apologized, said that it only happened a handful of times over the years and only with one partner. She was emotionally cheating on again off again for estimated 4-5 years with this guy based off what I was willing to learn. Last stint estimated 5 months. I don't know him. She said she knew if I found out I'd leave her, and she didn't want to lose me, and she just got too deep. I gave her the choice to stay and break it off and try to heal or leave, but zero more chances obviously. Told her if she leaves now we'll be as amicable as possible, but I'd catch anything even remotely cheating ever again. If she chooses to stay it will be very ugly in terms of the divorce and any salvageable relationship with us. She chose to stay and break it off. She wanted a new phone and new number because she said her old phone disgusted her now. Obviously the old line is cancelled. She has no problem having location always on her phone. She says she wants to be the perfect wife. We took several days off of work, right after D-Day, just to work out with each other, figure out what we wanted, and what we were going to do. We've been having date nights, been completely open about anything each other wants to know. We both learned a lot about each other. Honestly, the past few years I'd been sinking deeper and deeper into depression. Now I think I know why. The problem is the more depression the less I was doing and shittier I was getting. Basically I wasn't the perfect husband, but I was always loving and faithful. I want to make it work with her. We've been best friends for so many years. I've basically turned into my best self. I've had less depression. I've accomplished more in 3 weeks than in 2 years. I've rebuilt bridges and reached out to people. I haven't even been watching porn. Funny because this is my porn burner account I was about to delete. I'm being a better version my old self. Problem is I'm torn. I'm heartbroken. Why does she get a better life after cheating? I feel like I should kick her out because I know it would not turn out for her. It's shitty because I feel we're almost falling for each other again. But how the fuck am I, or even should I, forgive her? We have therapy next week, and I have no clue what to say or bring up in this session. I know Reddit and feel like I'm going to get torn apart for opening up, but I need anonymous outside advice, especially if there are relationship survivors in this community. Update. WW broke no contact. D-Day about 4 weeks ago. Trying for R. She swears I'm what she wants. She wants me. Says she currently feels nothing for him. Says she's awake now that she's read a couple books. Problem is she messaged him at day week 3 right before she read the books. But after the breakup and beginning of no contact, venting to him about the stress of having it thrown in her face, lied and said she was drinking more than she has been. Leading him in. Saying we're trying MC but we might not work. Saying she's sorry she did this to him. She offered the messages that she could have deleted when I asked because we've been 100% open. Said it was her asking how he's been and that's it, but when I sat down and read what she said she looked shocked. And said things like why would I say that and that she didn't remember that and that's not what I want, and looked confused and shocked. Kept saying after the conversation she said she would call him but afterwards she felt nothing so she never did that. That was her sign. Said she felt too grossed out even taking to him. No messages after that. Said that it was closure and the end of her processing of emotions. To be honest too, we were really doing amazing the last week until I saw the messages looking back, which makes me think maybe there's some truth. Problem is we had an agreement of no contact and she broke it. Problem is her texts tell a different story than her words. She promised so many times she wouldn't hurt me again, and now she's showering me with promises again. Says she'll end it with him and MC, not sure if that's normal, or in front of me says she sees him for what he is after the last exchange. Now I'm angry numb. She's begging me not to kick her out. We were falling in love all over again. It was a roller coaster, but we were really doing it. Now I'm dead. I don't know if I feel anything. I don't know if I can try anymore. We were doing everything right. We were communicating. We were achieving so many things together. This last month alone I had IC today. We have MC tomorrow. No one seems to believe in us. I don't even think I do anymore. Am I just delusional thinking she can be honest? Any insight welcome. Second story. Do I tell AP's wife? I know this is a question that comes up a lot here, but I do think every situation is different. For context, 3 months since full disclosure after 1 month of trickle truth, my 45M wayward wife, 46F, of 17 years had a year-long IAPA with a co-worker. Usual stuff. Low self-esteem, toxic work environment, depressed, a kid-centric marriage, childhood trauma, poor communication and coping skills. Her AP took advantage of all that kindling and lit the fire. The affair ended in January for 2 reasons. First, thankfully my WW was laid off a couple months prior, so they no longer had the work stuff to bond over, which was the basis for most of the affair. Second, she found out the other betrayed spouse had been pregnant and gave birth during the affair, something AP of course never disclosed. That helped to snap WW out of the fog. Things have been getting better. WW is doing all the right things since full disclosure. I see for us both, MC, read several affair books together. She's reading other self-help books, getting an understanding of why she did this, very remorseful and understands the trauma she has caused, takes full responsibility and says she is committed to my healing regardless if we make it through R or not. So, do I still tell the OBS? I found her on LinkedIn. Reasons to tell her. She deserves to know. AP shouldn't get away with it. I have an incredible amount of anger directed at him, because I do believe he was the driver of the affair early on, pushing the boundaries to see what he could get away with. My WW is fully responsible for going along with it, but I do believe he was the aggressor. Reasons not to tell her. She will be badly hurt more so and has a 10-month-old baby at home. The affair is over. The AP is out of our lives, and this could bring him back in. My WW hates him now that she's out of the fog. They don't work together, and we will likely never see or hear from him again based on how it ended. Reaching out to OBS introduces AP's life back into ours. Risk of negative reactions from AP or OBS. Who knows how either will react. Physical violence, harassment, disclosure to family or friends. Almost no one else knows about the affair, and I think that helps in our OBS or AP could out my WW on social media or to former coworkers and friends. I think that would hurt our, we don't gain anything from it in our, it adds risk to our, but I don't see much upside. So if the goal is our, why add the risk? My IC clearly favors not telling OBS. My WW says it's totally up to me. I'm torn. Third story. My wife's alcoholism is destroying her family. I feel like I'm in a hopeless place. I hope it helps to put this out here. I'm a regular on another account, but this time I'm using an anonymous account, as this is personal. She's in her late 20s, I'm in my early 30s. We have 3 kids, all younger than 8, married in 2020. She had a rough childhood in foster care, but had overcome a lot of her struggles and has a lot of fight in her heart. I admire that about her. Shortly after our wedding, my wife lost a lot of her immediate family in a short amount of time. It was absolutely devastating, one loved one after another. Her guardian father stroke her biological sister, meth fentanyl OD, and her biological father, lung cancer. This was all over just about 1.5 years. Outside of that, her mother died in 2017, and her grandmother about 6 months ago. I lost a close friend in 2020 also. I miss them all dearly, but I can't even compare it to what my wife went through. She was close to all of the people she lost. My heart breaks for her when I think about it. She understandably had a hard time coping. She started drinking more than usual. which was also understandable. I figured it was a phase, not going to harsh her buzz, but it's only gotten worse. It is very much a problem for our family and our marriage. The constant struggle of dealing with her bouts of over-aggressive drunken stupor is really dragging me and the kids down. As a result of her drinking, I've been through many things that I know a lot of people would consider unforgivable. I still try to support her and encourage her to get professional help. She is a sum. She got a night job once but lied to me about when she would get off so she could go drinking and drive herself home drunk. She smashed up her car and could never tell me what happened. I think she hit a mailbox, but we'll never know. She got obliterated before my best friend's wedding, where she embarrassed me and everybody else as we were both a part of the bridal party. I felt awful that my own wife, fueled by alcohol, was disrespecting their special day. She's lied to me 1,000 times about her drinking. Her word means next to nothing on that topic. Just tonight, for example, with the same breath that reeks of alcohol, she told me she hadn't been drinking. It's silly how obvious it is. If not the smell, it's the constant yelling at me or the kids. Just looking for anything to get loud and mad about, anything to turn into an argument. It breaks my heart to see her treat them that way, and to see the fear and confusion in their eyes, while she yells at them about things they don't understand. It's really sad. The alcohol hurts her cognitive ability, and she speaks a bunch half thoughts that never really connect the dots. And she's always angry at us about it. We are all over here just confused trying to understand her. One of my biggest fears is her driving the kids while drunk and crashing. I've had the thought cross my mind hundreds of times. I just can't shake it. There's a lot more, but I think this is enough for now. Not sure if I want to get into all the dirty truths. This is a lot for me to share, but I'm feeling desperate and hopeless. We've been on the verge of separation for months now. I give her chances and it always comes crashing down. I don't know how long I'm supposed to keep giving. I fear the safety and well-being of my family. The father in me wants to get us all away from her. The husband in me wants to show her my devotion to her with forgiveness and support, for better or for worse. But I feel a bit flattened, overwhelmed by this disease that has transformed my wife into somebody I didn't marry. It's been the most exhausting 4 or 5 years of my life, just trying to get by each day without a disaster. I know one of the kids, the oldest, sees it for what it is. He shouldn't know what it is, but he does, unfortunately. I'd like to keep that influence away from the other two. I don't know if I'm doing this right. There are no fucking instructions for this shit. Update. I'm ready to leave my alcoholic wife. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I'm a daily Redditor with my main account. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the long post. This turned out to be much longer than I had planned. My wife, 27F, and I, 33M, have been married for almost 4 years. We have 3 children, 7, 4, and 2. I work full-time, and some side work, to barely make ends meet, and she is a sum. She has gone through a lot of trauma since we got married. Her guardian father, biological sister, biological father, and her grandmother all passed away since then. Her biological mother also passed away a while back. I think she was around 20. Understandably, it's been very hard for her to cope. She turned to alcohol and hasn't looked back since. I think her drinking problem started before she lost her family, but don't know for sure. I've had to deal with way too much because of her alcohol problem. The line was crossed a long time ago, and I feel like a pushover for allowing it to happen. But what's a father to do? I'm just trying my best to do what I think is best for our kids. I don't know what I'm doing. There's no user manual for this. I've asked her to stop drinking more times than I can count. She's an angry and abusive drunk, often taking her anger out on me and the kids. I can deal with it, have been for years, but the kids deserve better. I don't want them to grow up with fighting parents. She's driven the kids to tears more times than I can count. She's been physical with me 3 times, and maybe once, that I know of, with one of our kids. It was pretty minor, but wrong nonetheless. I'm not okay with it, and I don't want to wait until something worse happens. I have a recurring vision of her drunk driving with our kids and crashing, and it scares the mess out of me. She always hides the alcohol and her consumption from me. I've found bottles in the craziest places, and I ask her to stop hiding it, i.e. where the kids can find it, but she refuses. I tell her just keep it in the high cabinet like normal people do. I won't throw it out. Just stop leaving bottles planted around the house. But she won't stop hiding it. So at any given point, I have no idea if she's sober or not. Obviously I can tell when she's been drinking heavily. I've become pretty good at sniffing it out. Her behavior, speech, the odor on her breath, etc. But if she just has a little buzz going on, then I have no clue. And depending on her tolerance, a little buzz for her could be 0.18 BAC. I'm scared she will crash with our kids one day. I can't shake it. Years ago I turned off her bank card. She doesn't keep any cards or cash normally, because she's repeatedly blown our money on booze behind my back. That started after she had a meltdown and ran away from me on a rare kid-free date night, uptown in the large city we live in. Wearing heels and a tiny black dress, she looked absolutely beautiful. Minus the hammered crooked look on her face. It broke my heart she left and refused to get back into my car. I had to leave her up there, looking like that, drunk, in the city with creeps on every corner. Her sister went to pick her up, and she told me the next day that when they went to the bathroom at a gas station, my wife finished first and went out. She found her at the ATM attempting to drain our accounts. She said she was going to take it all. Luckily, her sister talked her down from that. Sadly, I can't trust her with our money. She goes so far as getting cash back with groceries, to use the cash at the ABC store. Once I caught on to that, she started buying bottles in the gas station and adding $50 in gas at the register, telling me she spent the $65 on gas. I have to be careful letting have any money or access to it. Our 7-year-old knows what the ABC store is, and he calls it Mommy's grown-up drink store. She even asked him not to tell me when they stopped there. She used to rotate ABC stores when she was pregnant and, because she didn't want the clerks to recognize her with her belly, I sobbed and begged and pleaded with her to stop drinking while she was pregnant and breastfeeding, but she didn't. I don't know if I will ever forgive her for that. Around 6 months ago, she got caught stealing alcohol from the grocery store with our middle child in the shopping cart. She just put it in her purse with him right in front of her, like it was nothing. I got to see it on video when the sheriff's department showed up at our house, 30 minutes after she came home. I couldn't believe it until I saw it. Luckily, the grocery store dropped the charges and settled by banning her. She's had 2 CPS cases opened against her, both for her drinking. I covered for her during the investigation, not for her, but for the fear of losing my kids. She's lied to me hundreds of times telling me she hasn't been drinking, when I know she has. Hundreds. She's stolen my liquor before, early on before I realized what a problem she had. I don't drink anymore. She's stolen from our friends at their houses. She opened a bottle of whiskey that was on my dad's counter and drank half of it. The look on my face when my dad asked me and my brother who got into his bottle, SMH. I wish I could keep my favorite beer and whiskey in the house, but I can't trust her to be responsible. And I would never forgive myself if something bad happened after she got into my drinks. It's easy enough for me to just not drink anymore. Several months ago, after another epic fight, she came back tail between her legs again and she agreed to my ultimatum, get sober or I'm leaving. She agreed that there was no way for me to believe her if she told me she hasn't been drinking, so she agreed to alcohol testing. I picked up a breathalyzer and used it 3 times. All 3 times she denied drinking and failed the test. The first time she was stumbling over all of her sentences, not being coherent, yelling at me and the kids, and she blew .18. The second time was after she had just driven the kids home, She blew a .09, which was over the legal limit in my state. The third time was like the first .12. She's refused to take the breathalyzer test ever since then. Recently, I bought NyQuil a few months ago to help us sleep when we had a nasty cold going around the house. She drank all of it over a few days. The last time she failed the breathalyzer test, I didn't think there was any alcohol in the house because I had searched the house for the 100th time and didn't find anything. So I asked, "How are you drunk because there's nothing in the house?" She told me she'd been drinking hand sanitizer and mouthwash. I told her she needs rehab again, for the 100th time, and she refused. She tried going to a support group at a local rehab facility, but she didn't like it. Recently she's been seeing a therapist who supposedly specializes in alcohol abuse cases. But really I think she's causing my wife to resent me more for anything that I've done that she can try to blame her drinking on. I'm not perfect, but I've showed her the patience of a saint. I really can't get behind her therapist validating her alcohol abuse by helping her find reasons to blame me for it. But I'm still paying for her sessions, hoping one day she might decide it's time to stop drinking. Tonight we had another fight. She escalated it over and over, like she usually does when she drinks. I'm just exhausted. So exhausted. I want home to be a place of peace and relaxation. And I realize that's not really happening with 3 kids. But I'm tired of the grown-up kid that I married. She's creating more havoc in my life than the kids combined. It's been a living hell, stress is through the roof, and I think I'm ready to finally divorce her. It's just not healthy for us, or the kids, for us to be around each other anymore. I don't know where to start. I have some things that honestly have been holding me back. We are paycheck to paycheck, 30K in debt, our cars are our only assets, and they don't cover half of the debt we owe. I don't have money for a divorce lawyer, but I do not want her to have custody of the kids. I would maybe be okay with joint custody with me being primary, after she finishes rehab and proves her sobriety. But I work full-time. I don't have anybody to help with child care. I have no support. I guess that's why I'm here asking some of you who may have been through anything similar, how am I supposed to do this? Sorry for the novel. There's just a lot going on. My wife is a raging alcoholic who has chosen alcohol over her family too many times. My patience has run out, and I want to divorce her for a lot of reasons, but mainly to get our kids out of the toxic environment. I'm broke, ignorant to how divorce works, and need some advice on what my first steps need to be.